we're going to review adding and subtracting polynomials. So first I just want to look at being able to identify certain parts of polynomials so when we talk as a class we know what we're talking about. So rewrite the polynomial in standard form. Standard form meaning that our exponents go from greatest to least in order. Identify the leading coefficient, degree, number of terms, and name the polynomial. We'll look at all of those as we go. First of all, let's write it in standard form. So we need to look at our degrees, and our degrees are our exponents. Okay, and we're looking for the highest one. So our highest one is this term right here. We need to take the sign that's in front of it with it and write it first. So we have negative 4x to the third. Okay, we use this one. My next highest is x squared. Take the sign that's in front of it, and I get x squared. My next one, between these two, they both have nothing in them, but this one has an x, so it actually has a 1, that invisible 1 there. So that one's going to come next. And then finally the 6, we want to take the sign that's in front of the 6. There's nothing in front of the 6, meaning that it's positive, so we're going to use a plus sign. Okay. So we have our polynomial written in standard form. Our exponents, our degrees, are going from greatest to least. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Now we need to identify the leading coefficient. Coefficient is the constant or the number that's in front of a variable. And by leading, I mean the very first one in the situation, or the very first one in the polynomial, once it's in standard form. So we're just going to abbreviate this. Leading coefficient. In this case, it's this guy right here. It's negative 4. Okay? Degree. Remember in a polynomial, the degree is always whatever the highest exponent is. So our highest exponent was 3. So our degree is 3. And number of terms, the number of terms is how many monomials you have, or how many little groupings do you have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 terms. Name your polynomial. The way you name the polynomial is by the highest degree. So our highest degree here is 3, so that makes it a cubic. Okay, so that is how we do the first section, where we're just rewriting our polynomial and finding those important parts so we can talk about them as a class. Now let's go on to adding and subtracting. First, adding. Add or subtract and write your answer in standard form. It's very important that when you're done with all your polynomials, we write them in standard form. Okay. Remember, we want to first check out what are they asking us for. We look in between the parentheses, and they're asking us to add. Adding, all we do is combine our like terms. So we're looking for things that look alike in the first parenthesis and the second parenthesis. And they look alike by their variable and their degree. The variable and the degree need to match exactly. So if I look at this one, I have 2x squared, and I look over here, I have a negative x squared. Okay, those are like terms. I'm going to combine them. I'm going to throw a 1 in front of here just because I know it's there. And I have 2x squared and a negative 1x squared. That gives me a positive 1x squared. You can write the 1 if you want. You don't have to write it. Okay, I go on to my next term. I have a negative 2x. So I'm looking for something over here that has an x with no degree, and I see a positive 5x. So I have a negative 2x plus a positive 5x. That gives me 3x. And it's a positive, so I use a plus sign when I go to write it in. I have 6, just a constant, so I'm looking on the other side if I have any constants. I do. I have a negative 2 because I want to take the sign in front of it. 6 plus negative 2 gives me 4. It's a positive, so I use a plus sign. I scan through my problem to see if there's anything I didn't use. I did not use this 11x to the third, so I'm going to throw that on the end. And I've combined or added my two polynomials together. Okay, that last step is writing it in standard form. Standard form is going from greatest to least with our degrees or our exponents. So I need to move that 11x to the third to the front. And then next would be my 1x squared. I'm going to use a plus sign because it's a positive 1. Plus 3x plus 4. And you have added your two polynomials together. A review on subtraction. Same thing, add or subtract, write your answer in standard form. I don't like subtraction, so we're going to first look at what we're asking for. We're asking for subtraction if we look in between the parentheses. Don't like it, so I'm going to change it to addition and change the sign of everything behind it. Leave the stuff in front the same, but anything behind it we change the sign. So this was a positive 4, I make it negative. It was a positive 8, I make it negative. This was a negative 4, so I make it positive. A positive 2 becomes negative, and a negative 1 becomes positive. All you're doing is changing the sign of everything behind it. Now we're right back at our addition problem that we just did previously, and we're good to go. So we're going to work on combining our like terms. I have a constant 12 with no variable. I have a constant 1 with no variable. That's now positive. But combine those two together, and I get 13. I have a negative 11x and a negative 8x gives me negative 19x. And then I have a negative 5x to the 5th and a positive 4x to the 5th gives me negative 1x to the 5th. Anything I didn't use, I have a negative 4x to the 4th that I didn't use, and a negative 2x to the 3rd that I didn't use. Now we need to write it in standard form. My highest degree or exponent is this x to the 5th. I'm going to make sure I take the sign in front of it with it. So it's a negative x to the 5th. You can keep the 1 there if you want, not necessary though. And then I just go down looking at their exponents. Negative 4x to the 4th. Negative 2x to the 3rd minus 19x. And if I look up front, my constant was 13. It was a positive 13, so I'm going to plus 13. There you go. Good luck on your homework tonight.